Evan, a human pilot, did not expect to crash on an alien world that was not even marked on any map. His ship had fallen from the sky like a wounded bird, hit by a sudden storm of blue lightning that came out of nowhere. When he opened his eyes, he found himself lying on soft purple sand, his head spinning and the smell of burnt metal all around him. The sky above him was red and gold, glowing like fire. He stood up slowly, holding his side where a piece of metal had scratched him. He looked around, hoping to find water, a signal flare, anything that could help. But the valley was silent, too silent. He took a careful step forward, and that was when he felt it, the ground shaking beneath his boots. Not gently. Strong, hard, like something huge was walking toward him. He turned fast, heart rising to his throat. And there they were. At least 20 tall alien warriors with skin like silver stone and eyes that glowed blue. Their armor looked like sharp wings folded against their backs. They were the Ikran, a warrior race known only through rumors in human space. They surrounded him in a tight circle. Evan raised his hands slowly to show he was not a threat, but the warriors did not relax. Their eyes were cold, scanning him like he was a strange insect. Then the circle opened, and she walked in Lyra, the princess of the Ikran. Known for her fierce nature and pride, sharper than a blade. Her long blue hair floated around her like living fire. She stared at him with a look that mixed curiosity and dislike. "What is a human doing in our valley?" she asked, her voice strong and clear. "My ship crashed," Evan said calmly. "I just need help. I'm not here for trouble." The warriors laughed softly, but not in a friendly way. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. "Humans are weak. Humans lie. Humans run from fear." Evan breathed slowly. He had heard this type of talk before on other worlds. Some species respected humans. Others hated them. But the Ikran, they seemed to enjoy testing their enemies. Behind Lyra, something moved. A shadow. A presence so large it made the air tremble. Evan looked up, and his breath froze. A giant creature stood behind her. A sky beast. An Ikran. Its wings were wide enough to cover a house, its scales shining like blue steel. Sharp teeth showed when it opened its mouth, releasing a low, thunder-like growl. The beast stared at Evan like he was nothing but a small piece of food. Lyra placed her hand on the Ikran's neck with pride. "This is my Ikran," she said. "Only true Ikran can ride one. Even our strongest warriors need years of training." The crowd murmured with approval and excitement. Some smirked, waiting for Lyra's next words. Evan felt sweat forming on his forehead, but kept his face calm. He knew one thing: fear only made creatures more aggressive. Lyra suddenly stepped forward, her voice ringing across the valley. "Human, if you are a real pilot, ride my Ikran." The warriors burst into loud laughter. Some shouted insults. Others bet how fast the Ikran would tear the human apart. They expected him to fall to his knees, to beg, to refuse. No outsider had ever touched an Ikran and lived. It was a death sentence. But Evan didn't move. He looked at the Ikran, then at Lyra, and then back at the beast. His breathing slowed. His eyes softened. He stepped forward. The laughter stopped. The valley became quiet, like a frozen moment. Warriors watched him with shock. Lyra's confident smile faded. The Ikran shifted its wings and growled louder, shaking dust from the ground. Evan felt the vibration through his boots, but he kept walking, slow and steady. He raised his hand gently toward the creature. Lyra shouted, "Stop! It will kill you." But Evan ignored her. The Ikran's growl grew deeper, echoing through the valley like a storm. Its eyes glowed brighter. It brought its massive head down, getting closer. Closer. Evan stopped just one step away from its face. His hand was still up. The Ikran sniffed him, its breath warm and heavy. Everyone waited for the attack. But then something unbelievable happened. The Ikran stopped growling. It blinked slowly, and it lowered its head, almost like a bow. The warriors froze. Lyra's eyes opened wide in disbelief. No human had ever done this. The challenge, meant to humiliate him, had turned into something impossible, something dangerous, something powerful. And this was only the beginning. The entire Akri clan stood frozen, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Lyra's Ikran, known for its wild temper and violent nature, had bowed its head to a human. To them, this was not only rare, it was impossible. The valley, usually full of wind and bird cries, felt silent and heavy, like the world itself was holding its breath. Evan stood calmly, with his hand still hovering over the Ikran's head. He did not touch it yet. He wanted to see if the creature truly accepted him, or if this was just a moment of confusion. His heart was beating fast, but his face stayed still. Years of flying dangerous missions had taught him how to hide fear. And right now, he needed every bit of that training. The Ikran let out a deep, rumbling breath. Not a growl, this time something calmer, something that almost sounded like approval. Its wings folded slightly, and its eyes softened. Evan could almost feel its mood changing, as if the creature was studying him and choosing what to do next. Lyra stepped forward quickly, her face showing frustration and disbelief. Impossible. This is impossible, she whispered under her breath. She reached out to pull her Ikran back, but the creature snapped its head away from her and moved closer to Evan instead. The princess froze. The warriors gasped. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt something strange fear, not of the human, but of what this moment meant. One of the elder warriors, gray hair flowing behind him, spoke in a trembling voice. No outsider has ever been accepted. No outsider has ever been chosen. His words carried weight. Some warriors stepped back in confusion. Others leaned in, wanting to see more. Evan lowered his hand very slowly, watching the Ikran's reaction. The creature did not move away. Instead, it pressed its forehead gently toward him. It wanted his touch. Evan felt a strange feeling, like a silent connection forming between them. He placed his palm on its scales. Warmth, strength, power. The Ikran let out a soft, almost peaceful sound. The valley erupted with shocked whispers. Evan removed his hand and took a step back. The Ikran followed him. Lyra's jaw tightened. She could not accept this. She refused to accept that a human stranger had done something her strongest warriors could not. This means nothing. She snapped loudly, trying to reclaim her pride. It is confused. That's all. Let us test it properly. Her voice shook slightly, but she forced a cold expression. She raised her arm and spoke to her Ikran in her native tongue. It was an old command, used to test a rider's worth. The Ikran's wings spread wide, stirring the sand. The creature lifted its head high and roared, shaking the valley walls. The warriors stepped back nervously. This was the sound every trainee feared. Evan looked up at the creature. "You're angry again?" "Why?" he murmured softly. He didn't know Akrari language, but he understood animals better than most people. The roar didn't feel like a threat to him. It felt like confusion. Like the Ikran was torn between two instincts, its bond with Lyra and the strange trust it felt for him. "Step back, human." A warrior barked. "You will be eaten." Evan didn't move. He took a breath and stepped forward again. The roar stopped. Just stopped. Like someone had switched off a storm. The Ikran lowered its head again, calmer than before. Evan touched its snout gently, and the creature leaned into his hand like it had known him for years. The valley fell silent once more. Lyra's face changed completely. Pride broke. Confidence cracked. She had challenged him, expecting humiliation. Not this. Not a bond forming right before her eyes. Her voice was softer now, almost unsure. "How did you do that? What trick did you use?" "No trick," Evan replied simply. "I just didn't fear it. Fear makes creatures attack." Lyra looked at her Ikran again. It refused to look at her. It stood next to Evan like a loyal guardian. Evan didn't realize it, but he had crossed an invisible line, the line between outsider and rider. The warriors began whispering again, louder this time. "He is chosen. The Ikran chooses the human. This cannot be ignored." An elder stepped toward Lyra. "Princess, the Ikran listens to him. It respects him." Lyra clenched her fists. She wanted to deny it. But reality was right in front of her. Her voice came out tight, almost bitter. "Fine. Let the human prove it then." Evan looked at her quietly. "Prove what?" She pointed up at the mountains where sharp winds blew and lightning cracked through the sky. "Write it," she said coldly. "If the Ikran truly accepts you, then write it." The valley fell silent again. The human pilot looked up at the sky beast, and the sky beast looked back at him as if waiting for him to say yes. The real test was about to begin. The sky above the valley turned quiet as Evan stared up at the towering Ikran. He could feel the eyes of every Akri warrior on him waiting, doubting, hoping to see him fail. Even Lyra, the proud princess, looked tense. Her challenge hung in the air like a blade. Ride the Ikran. If it truly accepts you. Evan took a slow breath. He was a pilot, yes, but flying a ship and riding a living sky beast were two very different things. Still, something about this creature made him feel strangely calm, as if it understood him better than the Akri did. The Ikran lowered its body, bending its legs slightly. It was an invitation. A sign. Lyra stepped back, shocked. It lowered itself for him. She whispered. No outsider had ever been offered such a gesture. The Ikran's wings stretched out wide, shaking dust into the air. The ground trembled beneath its weight. Evan approached slowly, his eyes locked with the creature's glowing blue gaze. He placed one hand on its neck. The creature didn't pull away, leaned closer. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Evan climbed onto its back. Warriors gasped. Some shouted warnings. Others stepped backward, expecting the beast to throw him like a toy. But the Ikran remained still. Evan wrapped his arms around its neck, finding his balance. He could feel the beast's muscles shifting beneath him, strong and powerful. The wind pulled softly at his hair. His heart hammered against his ribcage, not with fear, but with excitement. Lyra's voice shook as she yelled, "Do you even know what you're doing?" "No," Evan said honestly, "but it does." Before she could reply, the Ikran leaped. Not a small jump. A massive explosive launch that shot them straight into the sky. The valley disappeared beneath them as wind roared past Evan's ears. The Ikran's wings spread wide, catching the air, lifting them higher and higher. Evan gripped tighter, feeling the world spin below him. The first few seconds were wild, his body thrown against the air, his stomach rising, his breath stealing away. But then something strange happened. The Ikran slowed its movements. It stopped shaking him. It flew smooth and steady as if trying to protect him from falling. Down below, the Akari stared up in disbelief. Lyra stood frozen, unable to understand how her own sky beast showed more loyalty to a human stranger than to her. In the air, Evan adjusted himself carefully. He found the Ikran's natural rhythm, the way its wings beat, the way its body shifted in the wind. Slowly, he learned how to balance. His fear faded. A smile formed on his face. The sky felt different up here, alive, free. He whispered softly, "You're incredible." The Ikran gave a short, sharp cry, almost like it heard and agreed. They flew over tall mountains with jagged edges, glowing rivers that shined like liquid light, and valleys filled with strange blue trees that bent with the wind. Every moment felt unreal, like riding a living storm. Lyra mounted her own Ikran and shot into the air after them. She had no plan, she just needed to see it with her own eyes. She needed to know if the human was truly riding her beast or simply moments away from death. When she reached their altitude, the sight nearly stopped her heart. Evan was steady, balanced, calm. Her Ikran flew next to him gently, carefully for him. It didn't roar, didn't attack, didn't resist. It accepted him fully. Lyra felt something she had never felt before, a mix of fear, confusion, and respect. "How are you doing this?" she shouted through the wind. Evan held the Ikran's neck tightly. "I'm not doing anything special. I'm just trusting it." Lyra couldn't believe it. Trust? That was not how the Ikran trained. They trained with pain, fear, and strict discipline. But this human, this strange outsider, had bonded with the Ikran faster than any warrior from her clan. Below, the clan watched as the two Ikrans circled the valley like twin shadows. The elders murmured among themselves, unable to explain this miracle. Some bowed their heads. Others whispered ancient words. Then, without warning, the Ikran Evan rode performed a sharp dive. Straight down. Evan's breath caught as they dropped faster than falling rocks. Lyra followed him, shouting warnings. But the Ikran wasn't attacking. It was testing him. Evan leaned forward, trusting the beast completely. At the last second, the Ikran spread its wings wide, lifting them back into the sky with a powerful burst that shook the air. The crowd below gasped so loudly the sound echoed through the mountains. Evan laughed an honest, free laugh because the moment felt like flying a starship made of pure wind. When they landed, the clan ran to gather around them. Dust rose. Warriors stared. Children hid behind their parents. Lyra stepped forward slowly, her voice barely a whisper. You really rode it." Evan dismounted carefully. The Ikran walked behind him like a loyal guardian. He looked at Lyra with calm eyes. "You challenged me," he said softly. "So I proved it." And for the first time in her life, the proud alien princess could not find a single word to answer him. The impossible had just become real dust, still floated in the air long after Evan and the Ikran landed. The Ikran clan gathered in a wide circle around him, whispering in shock, staring at the human who had done the impossible. Even the children, who normally giggled and played, stood silently with wide eyes. Their world had changed, and they could feel it. Evan stepped down from the Ikran slowly, trying not to show how sore his body felt from the wild flight. The beast followed behind him with powerful steps, its wings folding neatly against its body. It stayed so close that its shadow covered him like a protective cloak. The warriors noticed this small detail, and it frightened them more than anything. An elder stepped forward. His name was Escher, known for his long silver hair and deep voice that made even warriors listen. He walked around Evan once, studying him carefully, then studying the Ikran. "The beast accepts him," Escher said softly. The words hit the air like thunder. Lyra stiffened. She did not want to accept this truth, but even she could not deny what she had seen. Her Ikran had allowed Evan to ride. Then it had taken him into the sky like a trusted partner. No mockery could ignore this. Escher looked at the other elders. "We must discuss this, now." Without another word, the elders turned and walked toward the council cave carved into the valley wall. Lyra followed them, her steps heavy and her jaw tight. She didn't want to leave Evan alone, but she knew the meeting was important. The clan needed answers. Evan watched them go. He had a bad feeling like something important was about to be revealed, something that involved him more than he expected. When the elders entered the council cave, the crowd slowly began to break apart. But no one took their eyes off Evan. Some looked at him with fear, some with curiosity, and some with anger, as if his existence alone challenged their traditions. Only the Ikran stayed calm. It lowered itself next to Evan like a giant pet, curling its wings close. Its blue eyes looked peaceful, protective, even. Evan sighed and placed his hand on its neck. He felt the creature relax. "You're too good to be real," Evan whispered. Inside the council cave, the voices of the elders rose and fell. Lyra stood near the center, pacing nervously. Finally, Escher raised his hand for silence. "There is something we have not told the young warriors for generations," he said. "Something from the time of our ancestors." The other elders nodded solemnly. Lyra frowned. "What are you hiding?" Escher walked to the cave wall and brushed dust from an engraved stone tablet. Ancient symbols covered it, glowing faintly under the firelight. "It is an old prophecy," he said. "A story humans were never meant to hear." He pointed to an image carved into the stone, a tall figure riding an Ikran. But the rider did not look Akari. The body shape was different, more human. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. That cannot be. That is not possible." Escher looked at her sadly. "It is written, one day a rider not born from our clan will touch the sky beast. The beast will bow, and the path of the clan will change forever." The cave fell silent. Lyra tried to speak, but her voice shook. "You're saying?" "The prophecy is about him." The elders exchanged troubled glances. "We do not know," Escher admitted, "but the signs match. The sky beast bows to him, flies with him, protects him." Lyra felt anger rising inside her. "But he is human. Humans are weak. Humans are outsiders." Another elder spoke, her voice gentle. "Sometimes outsiders see what we cannot. Sometimes strength is not in the body, but in the spirit." Lyra froze. Her pride battled against reality. She wanted to deny it, scream that the prophecy was wrong, but she remembered the moment the Ikran bowed. The moment Evan flew like he was born in the sky. The moment her heart felt something new and terrifying. Back outside, Evan sat against the Ikran's side, trying to rest. He looked up as Lyra emerged from the cave, followed by the elders. Her expression was strange, half anger, half confusion, and something softer hiding underneath. Escher stepped forward. "Human Evan," he began, "we have spoken of old things, dangerous things, things that may involve you." Evan stood slowly. "I don't understand." "You were not meant to," Escher said. "The prophecy speaks of a rider from another world. A rider who changes the fate of our clan." Evan blinked. "Me? I'm just trying to go home." Lyra's voice cracked as she spoke. "The prophecy says the chosen one cannot return home. Not at first. Not until the clan's future is secured." Evan felt a chill go down his spine. "So what does that mean?" he asked. The elder stepped closer, placing a heavy hand on his shoulder. "It means human. Your arrival here is no accident." The Ikran behind him let out a low, rumbling sound, almost like agreement. And at that moment, Evan realized his life was no longer his own. He had stepped into a destiny older than the stars themselves. The Akari Valley was normally calm after sunset. Blue torches lit the stone paths, warriors sharpened their blades, and Ikran perched quietly on tall cliffs. But tonight, the air felt heavy, like a storm waiting to break. Evan stood near the edge of the valley with the Ikran beside him, thinking about everything the elders had said. A prophecy. A rider from another world. It sounded impossible. He touched the creature's neck gently. "I'm not a hero," he whispered. I just want to go home." The Ikran closed its eyes as if telling him, "You are more than you think." But just as Evan lowered his hand, a loud, unnatural buzzing sound broke across the valley. It wasn't the sound of wings. It wasn't the cry of creatures. It was metal, engines, machines. The Akri warriors turned sharply. The night sky lit up with red fire. A fleet of enemy ships burst through the cloud sky raiders, the most feared aerial attackers in that region of space. Their machines looked like floating metal beasts with glowing red cores, sharp wings, and weapons that spit sparks even from a distance. Warriors shouted warnings. "Defensive positions. Protect the elders. Get the Ikran ready." Lyra drew her twin blades as she ran toward Evan, her face tight with urgency. Sky Raiders. They destroy valleys, steal Ikran eggs, and kill anyone in their way. We must fight. Before Evan could reply, the first raider ship fired a blast of red energy. It struck one of the cliffs, exploding it into a shower of burning stone. The ground shook violently. Ikran screamed and took off into the sky. Warriors formed lines. Elders rushed toward the shelter caves. Another blast hit the ground near Evan, throwing dust everywhere. He covered his face and coughed. Lyra pointed toward the sky. "They're targeting the Ikran nests." The raiders dove lower, firing fireballs toward the cliffs where young Ikran hid. The creatures cried out in fear. Evan felt something burn inside his chest hanger, but he didn't move yet. Lyra mounted her Ikran quickly. "Stay out of the way, human. This is not your fight." But as she pushed her beast into the sky, Evan saw something she didn't see: a raider aiming a heavy cannon straight at her back. The glowing barrel charged. Evan's heart nearly stopped. "Lyra, look out." She didn't hear him. Without a second of hesitation, Evan jumped onto the back of the Ikran beside him. The creature reacted instantly, sensing danger. It spread its wings wide, launching into the air with a powerful thrust. Wind hit Evan like a wall, but he held tight, remembering the rhythm he learned earlier. The Ikran climbed fast, rising like a living rocket. Lyra finally glanced back and gasped when she saw Evan following her, the cannon aimed directly at her. "Move!" Evan shouted. The raider fired. Lyra pulled her Ikran sharply to the side, and the beam grazed past her, exploding against a mountain wall. The blast shook the sky. Evan leaned low against the Ikran's neck as his beast darted through the air. Chasing the raider that nearly killed Lyra, the raiders noticed him. A human on an Ikran, a target they did not expect. Two raider ships turned their weapons toward him, firing rapid shots of red light. Evan pulled the Ikran into a tight spin, dodging the blasts. His instincts as a pilot kicked in. He understood fast movement, angles, air patterns. He used the wind like a tool. Lyra flew beside him now, stunned. You came to help me." Evan didn't look at her. Focus. They're flanking the valley. The raiders split into groups, some attacking Ikran nests, others targeting warriors on the ground. It was a coordinated assault meant to break the clan in minutes. Evan pulled his Ikran upward for a high climb, then pointed downward sharply. "Dive!" The beast followed instantly. They fell like a falling star straight toward a raider ship. At the last moment, Evan shifted his weight slightly. The Ikran's wings snapped open with a blast of air, throwing the raider off balance. Its metal shell scraped a cliff and exploded in a burst of fire. Lyra stared in disbelief. No Akri rider could do that maneuver. Evan didn't answer. He and the Ikran shot upward again, rushing toward another raider attacking young Ikran on a cliff. He positioned the beast perfectly above the enemy ship. Strike! The Ikran folded its wings and slammed into the ship with a powerful kick, tearing one of its wings clean off. The machine spiraled down in flames. Below them, warriors cheered. The human fights with us. He protects our young. He rides like a skyborn. But the raiders were not finished. Their leaders, Shippa, massive black beast with red thrusters, centered the battlefield, firing larger blasts that shook the mountains. Lyra flew to Evan's side. Her voice was unsteady. "We need you. The clan needs you." Evan looked at the burning sky, the crying Ikran, the wounded warriors. He understood now. This wasn't just a fight. This was a moment that would decide the clan's future. He tightened his grip on the Ikran's neck. "Then, let's end this." Together, a human and a sky beast shot toward the enemy leader with the force of a storm. The real battle had just begun. The sky was dark with smoke when the final raider ship fell burning into the valley river. For a moment, no one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the crackling of broken machines and the beating wings of tired Ikran returning to their perches. Evan guided his Ikran down carefully, his muscles aching and his lungs burning from the battle. As soon as they landed, the beast folded its wings tightly and lowered its head beside him, almost as if making sure he was unharmed. Warriors rushed across the valley to gather the wounded. Some limped, some carried others on their backs, and some dropped to their knees from exhaustion. The battle had been brutal, and many Akori feared the clan would not survive the attack. But they had survived. Because of him. Lyra landed beside Evan, sliding off her Ikran with shaky legs. Her breath came fast as she stared at him, really stared like she was looking at someone she had never seen before. Her pride was gone. Her coldness was gone. There was only shock, respect, and something deeper she didn't have a name for. "You saved me," she said quietly. Evan wiped dust from his face. "You would have done the same." "No," she admitted honestly. "Not like you." She looked at the Ikran behind him. "No rider could maneuver like that. Not even our strongest warriors." Before Evan could respond, Elder Escher approached with several other elders. Their steps were slow, heavy with the weight of what they had just witnessed. Escher placed a hand on his chest and bowed a gesture Akri never gave to outsiders. "Human Evan," the elder said, his deep voice echoing through the valley, "you did not only save our princess. You saved our young. You saved our warriors. You saved our home." Evan shifted awkwardly. "I just did what anyone would do." "No," Escher said firmly. "Only a true rider fights like that." More warriors gathered around, forming a wide circle. Many of them lowered their heads. Something Evan had seen only a few times during the battle, only toward their greatest champions. Evan opened his mouth to speak, but another voice called out, a weak, trembling one. "Help, please." A wounded Akari boy limped forward, his leg bleeding badly. He had a young Ikran egg wrapped in his arms. Evan rushed to him without hesitation and knelt beside him. "You're going to be all right," Evan said gently. He tore a piece of his pilot jacket and wrapped it around the boy's leg to stop the bleeding. The boy stared at him with big, surprised eyes. No warrior had reached him this quickly. No warrior had spoken so softly. You are human," the boy whispered. "Yeah," Evan said with a small smile. "Last time I checked," the boy held the egg closer. "Thank you for saving us." Evan ruffled the boy's hair lightly. "You're brave, holding that egg through the whole battle. That takes real courage." The boy's face brightened, and he nodded proudly. Lyra watched the entire scene with a twist in her chest. This human wasn't just strong. He wasn't just skilled. He had kindness in him that few warriors possessed. She looked at her people, how they stared at him, not with fear, but with awe. Escher raised his staff. "By the law of the sky, we honor those who fight for the clan." The title of Sky Brother has been given only to our greatest heroes. He paused. Today, we give it to a human. The warriors pounded their chests in approval. Evan froze. Sky Brother. What does that mean? It means you are one of us, Escher said. Not by blood, but by spirit. By courage. By heart. The Ikran beside Evan lowered its wings and wrapped them gently around him, as if claiming him in front of everyone. The clan gasped in amazement. Lyra felt her throat tighten. This was more than acceptance. This was devotion. Another elder stepped forward. Your bond with the Sky Beast is deeper than we have ever seen. It listens to you. It trusts you. It protects you. Lyra added softly, it chose you. Evan looked at the Ikran, then at the clan. I don't know what to say. You do not need to say anything, Escher replied. You have already spoken with your actions. Warriors approached him first slowly, then with growing confidence. They touched his arm, patted his shoulder, bowed their heads. They looked at him as if he was a legend come to life. For the first time since he crashed on this world, Evan didn't feel alone. He felt like he belonged. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes softer than they had ever been. You fought beside me, she said quietly. You saved our people. You earned this. Evan smiled tiredly. Guess I'm part of the clan now. Lyra nodded, her voice barely a whisper. Yes, human. And the clan will never forget what you did tonight. The fires of battle still smoked in the distance, but for the first time, the valley felt safe again, because the human rider had proven himself not just to the Ikran, but to the entire Akrari people. The morning after the battle arrived slowly, the soft golden light stretching across the Akrari Valley. Smoke still curled from the burned ships, and broken metal lay scattered like wounded beasts. But the air felt different, calmer, safer, almost peaceful. Life stirred again. Ikrans spread their wings. Warriors checked on their families. Elders walked the valley with tired but relieved expressions. Evan woke up near the resting Ikran. He had fallen asleep, leaning against its warm side, too exhausted to move. When he opened his eyes, the creature lifted its head and let out a gentle, low rumble, as if greeting him. Evan smiled and rubbed the beast's neck. You're still here, he whispered. The Ikran nuzzled him like an oversized pet. As Evan stood, he saw Lyra approaching him. She looked different today, not angry, not proud, not cold. Her posture was relaxed, her expression thoughtful, even gentle. She stopped in front of him, studying his face for a long moment. You slept like a stone, she said quietly. I was tired, Evan replied with a small laugh. Those raiders don't fight fair. You fought better than any warrior here, Lyra said, her voice soft. You saved my life, and the lives of our young. She looked down at her hands, something she almost never did. I should have thanked you last night. I was not ready. Evan shook his head. You don't owe me anything. Lyra lifted her eyes. We owe you everything. Before Evan could respond, a horn echoed across the valley. A deep, ancient horn used only for important ceremonies. Warriors emerged from their tents. Children ran to gather near the central stone circle. And elders walked toward the heart of the valley. Lyra touched Evan's arm lightly. They want you. Why? He asked. You will see. She led him toward the stone circle. The entire clan stood waiting, hundreds of Akrari, their silver skin glowing under the rising sun. Evan felt nervous. He had never been in front of so many silent, powerful warriors staring directly at him. Escher, the eldest among them, raised his staff. Human Evan, he announced. Step forward. Evan swallowed and stepped into the center of the circle. This clan has seen many storms, Escher continued. We have lost warriors. We have lost nests. We have faced enemies who wish to erase us from the sky. His voice grew stronger. But never, never have we seen a day like yesterday. The warriors nodded in agreement. You arrived as a stranger, Escher said. An outsider. A human, and therefore distrusted. He paused, letting the words settle. But when death came to our valley, you did not run. You did not hide. You rose into the sky on the back of a beast that had every reason to reject you. The Ikran behind Evan let out a proud cry. You fought beside our princess, Escher added. You protected our children. You saved our clansmen. You changed the fate of our valley. Evan's chest tightened. He didn't know what to say. He didn't think he deserved this praise. Escher lifted the engraved staff high. By the law of our ancestors, the sky beast chooses its rider. And the sky has chosen you. A powerful murmur spread through the crowd. Then the elder declared, Today we offer you a place among us, not as a guest, not as an outsider, but as one of our own. Will you accept the Akari as your clan? Evan froze. This was bigger than he expected, bigger than he was ready for. He looked at Lyra. Her eyes were soft, filled with hope. And something more, something warm. He looked at the valley, at the warriors who once feared him, but now waited with respect. He looked at the Ikran, who lowered its head, urging him to decide. Evan took a breath. If I accept, he asked quietly, what does it mean for me? Escher stepped closer. It means you have a home here, a family, a name in our history. But it also means you cannot leave us. Not yet. Your destiny and ours are now linked. The prophecy demands your presence. The future needs you. Evan looked down at his hands. He had wanted to go home, back to human space, back to his life. But here, he had purpose. Here, lives depended on him. Here, he was not just a pilot. He was a rider chosen by the sky. He raised his head slowly. Then I accept. The valley exploded with sound cheers, shouts, the beating of wings. Warriors pounded their chests. Children screamed with excitement. Ikran cried out from the cliffs. The celebration shook the valley like thunder. Lyra stepped close to him, her voice barely above a whisper. Welcome, Evan, of the Akari. Kay smiled. Feels strange, but good. The Ikran curled its wings around him tightly, as if hugging him. Lyra's smile widened at the sight. From that moment, the human pilot no longer belonged to the world he came from. He belonged to the sky, to the clan, to the prophecy. And the Akari would tell the story for generations. The day a human rode the Ikran and changed the fate of an entire alien clan.